and then I'll come back and introduce Dr. Randy Russ.
All right, thank you very much, Patriots. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for being a part of the process. And that's where it all starts. We all need to get educated. We all need to be involved. And we all need to be in the trenches fighting for the liberties and the freedoms that the Constitution allows us and gives us. And we can't just stand idly by while these freedoms are deteriorating and being taken away from us. So with the election integrity process, you know that we have been fighting for the past 2 years since the 2020, and yes, Trump did win the 2020 election. So we have been fighting at the state capitol, you know, with the legislatures, with the state and House and Governmental Affairs, going there weekly through all the legislation that they tried to present through the last three sessions, or I guess, or 2 sessions, and being active with that. So that's one process by which people can get involved. And then also once as we knew that Kyle was going to be writing a new RFP, you know, we have the Dominion machines, we have the Sequoia machines that we use for day of voting. There's a new RFP being written for new machines presently. So we're hoping that Kyle, we've been advocating for, as Brandon said, and you've heard this before many, many times, the hand-marked secure paper ballots, secure paper with the hand-marked intent of the voter that's written on that ballot, a full-size ballot, not just a receipt from a ballot marking device that tells us, or the machine tells us how we voted, all right? We want the evidence of that full ballot that we filled out to be part of an auditable process. And so that's what we're advocating for. That's what we're hoping we're getting. We understand from experts across the country that that is the only way by which we will know that our vote has been properly counted. As far as our Secretary of State and Kyle Ordwin, we have put experts from all over the country in front of him over the past 2 years, starting way back with Colonel Waldron and Alex Holderman and Jovan Polster and Joel Osteen and Dr. Douglas Franks and David Clements and Dinesh D'Souza and even Mike Lindell when give testimony in the Senate, in the Louisiana Senate, and gave testimony about the machines in front of all the legacy machines lobbyists that were there. So all the information has been given to our legislators and to Kyle and all the people that they need to know information from, or that have information from across the state, that across the country, that have been investigating in other states and know what's going on, has been presented to him. And still to this day, he really is not acting on it. And because of that, we're just really a little frustrated and feel like we're not going to get the results that we want from Kyle currently. And so we're very excited that Brandon is going to be running. We feel like we need new leadership and a new Secretary of State that will lead us in the direction that the Patriots feel that will best honor the Constitution and our freedoms and liberties for fair elections. So the one thing, my call to action for you tonight, I've always asked you, we've come before you to be a part of Election Day process, and you can do that by becoming a poll watcher for a candidate, any candidate, and watch in your precinct. You can become a poll commissioner, which means you actually sit there and are part of the process, take the driver's license and look at all the names and help them sign in. That's one process we can do. Or you can become, now we want precinct captains. So we wanted to try to organize a network across the state of Louisiana for precinct captains, which we feel that's where we would be best served for communication statewide. And that process right now, we'd like for you to do, is to consider being a precinct captain, and that precinct captain's duties would be to find 10 people within your neighborhood or within your precinct that would take a yard sign from a candidate, so a candidate of your choice. 2023 is going to be a big year for state elections, from the top of the ticket, from the governor's race all the way down. So it's going to be a big year, so we'll need lots of Patriots to be involved. Get behind the endorsed candidates that we know that will do the right thing, the conservatives that will vote the will of the people and stay true to us and the people that they represent, quite frankly. So that's what we would like. So precinct captain, if you feel like you can do that, just find 10 people within your own precinct that'll take 10-yard signs, and from there, hopefully we can duplicate those efforts, and then we'll keep track of that, and then we'll just network across the state in that manner. So thank you very much. You know, I can talk forever. I'm so delighted that we have additional information. You know, we had Dr. Randy Russ and John Scanlon that had already talked to us for We the People and gave us a great presentation with Kyle Ardwin present. And we gave a presentation about a year and a half ago. And so Randy's been just ingrained in all kind of information, and he's got some exciting things to share for us and updates. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you for everything you're doing. You and Jeff and the whole team. Somebody asked me, well, so Dr. Randy Russ, he's about to come up. He's brilliant. But we did get to hear him when we did our first election integrity town hall about a year and a half or so ago. But somebody that doesn't know him said to me, what does a former CEO of Community Coffee know about election integrity? And I said, just come, you're gonna find out. So you're about to find out. He's just devoted himself to this, and he is so gracious to be here and share it with us tonight. So I don't wanna waste any more time. So Dr. Randy Russ, would you please come on down.
Can y'all hear me?
Let's see.
Y'all can hear me, huh?
Try again. Try that again.
How's that? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Hold on, let's see. Try with that one.
Is this better? Yes. Yeah, okay. I'm hard of hearing anyway, so after that I can't hear anything.
I'll turn you on just a second.
It's great to be back. Thanks, Vicki, for inviting me. We were here, John Scanlon, former CEO and owner of ETEL, East Ascension Telephone. We're here just about a year ago presenting some preliminary, what I'll call preliminary evidence of election corruption in Louisiana. And I'm here representing the work that you'll see is the work of many patriots in Louisiana and experts and patriots around the country. Just so you know that you and we are not alone here in Louisiana, each week Lenore and I are on a call with patriot leaders from all 50 states. So we're sharing information, we're looking at each other's research, we're working together on projects like a new hand-marked secure paper ballot voting system, which I'll share with you tonight. And so we're connected around the country. Our focus is on making sure that Louisiana's election system is free, fair, transparent, and auditable so that we regain confidence in our election system. So people asked me, I was in a meeting the other day, and I was sitting next to another doctor, and she said, "What's your specialty?" Thinking I'm a doctor. And I said, "Business." And she said, "What?" I have a PhD from LSU in marketing and economics and too much statistics, which I'm going to get into some of that tonight. But hopefully you won't need statistics to see the patterns of corruption in our election system. Like many of you, on November 3rd, I watched election returns. I've voted in every election since 1976. And my dad and I used to watch the returns every night, every election. And so that's been my habit for 40 plus years. So on that night, and I had assumed my whole life I've never been politically involved, other than to read about candidates and their positions and to go vote. I assumed everything was okay, just like many of you. That night I watched at about 10:30-ish, 10:40, 5 democratically controlled cities stopped counting in swing states at the same time. Did you see it? Atlanta, Detroit, Phoenix, etc. You saw it. Statistically, my friends and fellow patriots, that is impossible. That 5 cities in 5 different states. So what we have been doing, these folks who have been studying this and working with our Secretary of State, unfortunately, we've given up on that guy. We've given him, me personally, about 1.5 years of my time with him, and Lennar mentioned that, and others like Lennar have been trying to work with him for 2 years. And so we're done. And the reason why we're done, you'll see tonight. So I normally start.
Stand back just a
sorry.
little bit. No, you're good.
So my director is telling me to come over here. I'm a retired college professor. I taught marketing and statistics at the undergraduate and graduate level, and I was privileged to be the president and chief executive of Community Coffee. So I have about 30 years of business experience and about a decade, about 12 years in higher education. So, but I'm not a liberal college professor. I don't know if they would employ me anymore.
You wear the sweater though.
Well, the sweater is part of my act to make the feds think that I'm just a little like old guy. It's part of my costume. Okay, so normally I start out with statistics. Tonight, this is a brand new presentation. No one has seen this yet, so we're premiering it here in Bayou Country. How many of you are familiar with the Eric Schmidt, Jeff Landry versus Joe Biden et al. Case? If you are not familiar with it, you must be familiar with it. And I'm going to give you, we've produced a little cheat sheet on it so you don't have to read 163 pages. And I'm going to go into some of it tonight. Secondly, how many of you are aware of the Twitter files dumps? You need to be following that very carefully because the evidence in the Jeff Landry suit and the evidence that's coming from Twitter files are confirming what you're about to see tonight. I'm going to give you a little bit on it. So let's see if I can work the technology. So am I still? I'm going to drive the camera person great. Let's see.
Do you have music for this yet?
So music.
Is there music for it yet?
I'm in a ballroom. I might start dancing. Where's Lennar? So one of the things that you should take comfort in, I know a lot of people are frustrated, we're angry, we don't understand the 2022 election, all that stuff. But if you're a person of faith, if you're a believer in the Lord, know that these people that we see is not who we're fighting against. In fact, St. Paul said we are fighting not against flesh and blood, enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against even evil spirits in heavenly places. So we are fighting a battle, a war against evil. This is good against evil. And we are now, it is becoming clear that we have a minority in our country who do not believe, do not follow, and they hate our Constitution. And we see that every day. And so we're fighting both in a spiritual realm, and that's why we should be praying. We should be getting together in meetings like this to encourage each other, because this is a tough battle. We're fighting the devil and the Democrats and the Glotzes. Have you heard of Glotzes? You heard of Nazis? National Socialists? Nazis? Glotzes, I made that word up. Global Socialists, Glotzes. And there are Republicans who are Glotzes, and all the Democrats are Glotzes. And they don't want to just take over Europe like Hitler. They want to take over the whole world. And that's who we're fighting against. So tonight we're going to talk about returning power to the people in